Everything went wrong here. When you look at a shooting, you look at three things. Number one, was there an immediate threat? Number two, was the force used proportionate to any threat posed? Number three, was it reasonable? If you look at number one, which is the immediacy of the threat, the person is running away. When you're 10, 15, 20 feet away, it's tough to make the argument that I fear for my life. Second thing is, when you look at the proportionality of the force that was used, there were 8 shots fired. And then you look at the threat, well, what was the threat in the event that the danger was moving away from you? And then if you look at the last thing, which was reasonableness, people are going to evaluate this, a jury ultimately, and say, were the officer's actions reasonable? And if the answer to that question is no, he's got a problem. Whenever you have an instance where there's video, it changes the entire equation. Why? Because I could see, I can evaluate for myself, right? You can look at it. I don't have to rely upon a police report. I don't have to rely upon outside witnesses and conflicting stories. I could evaluate this and see what it shows. And if you look at what it shows what it shows. And as a result of that, certainly the fact that there's video changes the entire complexion of this prosecution. Now, from what we understand, he had past issues concerning child support. So what? Even if you had a victim here that had a troubled past, a violent past, the issue will be, and this one doesn't by all indications, the issue will be, what was he doing that is the victim then? Was he confronting the officer, approaching the officer, threatening the officer? And if the answer to any of those questions are no, notwithstanding what you have in your background, then how is it important and how is it relevant? Now, the thing to talk about is what happened that we don't see on the video, because the defense will certainly use that. There was a struggle. The officer was in fear. They were fighting over the taser. Even if that's true, if you look at the videotape, when you have the danger that's moving away, it's hard-pressed to make the argument that I was fearful then, and I'm still fearful now. It doesn't appear that way, and if it doesn't appear that way to the jury, guess what? It's murder. We live in a generation where you pull your cell phone out, and as soon as you tape something, you could tweet about it. You can put up a picture on Instagram. You could put it all over Facebook. You could put it on YouTube. So it changes the whole equation. And remember, prosecutors are political animals. The reality is they're elected officials. And when you're looking at something like this, which appears to be such a gross injustice, what side of the equation do you want to be on? Do you want to be part of the solution in prosecuting something unjust, or do you want to be part of the problem in protecting something that appears to be unprotectable? That's the issue.